Criminology Board Exam Reviewer. Industrial Security Management. Part 2. 5 Types of Barriers. 1. Human. 2. Animal. 3. Natural. 4. Energy, electrical, electronic. 5. Structural. 3. Line of defense. 1. Perimeter barrier, first line of defense. 2. Building exterior, second line of defense. 3. Interior controls, third line of defense. Perimeter barrier. The main purpose is to deny or impede access or exit of unauthorized persons. Other purposes. 1. It defines the boundary of the property to be secured. 2. It creates a physical and psychological deterrent to unauthorized entry. 3. It delays intrusion, thus facilitating apprehension of intruders. 4. It assists in a more efficient and economical employment of guards. 5. It facilitates and improves the control of pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Components. 1. Types of fencing, solid, full view. 2. The top guard. 3. Types of protective alarms systems. 4. Types of protective and emergency lightings. 5. CCTV cameras and other electronic security systems, energy barriers. Building exterior, components. 1. Walls. 2. Doors. 3. Windows. 4. Roof openings. 5. Fire escapes. 6. Protective alarm systems. 7. Protective and emergency lightnings. 8. CCTV cameras and other electronic security systems, energy barriers. Interior controls, components. 1. ID systems. 2. Protective alarm systems. 3. Protective emergency lightings. 4. Communication systems. 5. CCTV cameras and other electronic security systems, energy barriers. 6. Restricted areas, storage areas, utilities. 7. Access control. 8. Key control. 9. Emergency plans. 10. Guards. Natural barriers or features, such as cliffs, ravines, and rivers which delay or make more difficult to entry of intruders. Barriers. It is any line of boundary and separation, natural or artificial, places, or serving as limitation or obstruction. Anything that bars, keep out, obstruct progress, or prevents encroachment or intrusion. Structural barriers. It features constructed by man regardless of their original intent that tends to delay the intruder. Human barriers. They are guards, charges of quarters, office personnel, shop workers etc. who stand between the intruder and the matter to be protected. Animal barriers. They usually guard dog. For example, trained German shepherds used as guards, goose, and turkeys can also be included. Energy barriers. Usually electrical or electronics devices used to provide assistance to guard personnel. For example, protective lightnings, anti-intrusion devices. Full view fence. It is designed primarily to prevent physical access between two areas. Constructed in such a way that visual access is permitted through the fence. Physical security features. 1. Natural barriers. Natural terrain's features must be considered from the standpoint of their values to intruder as cover and concealment. Normally the first type considered, very often we have to accept and work around them. 2. Fences. A. Solid fence. 1 is constructed in such a way that visual access through the fenced structure is denied. B. Full view fence. Constructed in such a way that usual access is permitted through the fence. Advantages of a full view fence. 1. Removing patrols and stationary guards are able to keep areas surrounding of the installation under observation. 2. It does not create shadows which would provide cover and concealment for the intruder. Disadvantages of a full view fence. 1. It allows visual access to the installation, its personnel, its guard and its activities. 2. It allows the intruders to become familiar with the movements and the time schedule of the guard patrols, thereafter allowing him to pick the time for attempting penetration which would most advantageous to the intruder. Advantages of solid fence. 1. Denies visual access of the installation of the intruder. 2. Denies the opportunity for the intruder to become familiar with the personnel, activities and the time schedule of the movements of guards in the installations. Disadvantages of solid fence. 1. It prevents the guards from observing the area around the installation. 2. It creates shadows which may be used by the intruder for cover and concealment. Minimum acceptable requirements for fence-used security barriers. 1. Height, 8 feet at a minimum. 2. Slack at the bottom, not to exceed 2 inches. If the fences are not tight, then it should extend even closer to the ground. 3. Wooden fence post, minimum horizontal dimension of 4 by 4 inches. 4. Steel fence post, the round type should at least be 2 inches at the smallest diameter. 5. Fence post should be set in concrete or in firm soil using commercial drive anchors to a depth of 3 feet, and the maximum distance post is 10 feet. 6. Fence top guard. There should be something on the top of the fence to deter persons attempting to go over fence. For example, use of barbed wire overhang. The arms holding the barbed wire should be extended at 45-degree angle in the direction of the expected approach. 7. Fence area. It should be declared trees and vegetation and debris of other materials which would offer concealment of the intruder or would aid him in scaling the fence. 8. Fence gates. Gates should be limited to the no. Necessary for efficient and sage operation of the installation. 9. Fence opening. All opening in the fence in excess of 96 inches must be locked, barbed or screen in such a way that they may be interlocked and opened from the inside and only by selected personnel. 10. Multiple fence is used should at least be 10 feet apart and the overhang on the top of the inner fence should point inward. 4 basic functions that must be accomplished by the guard system. 1. Detect intruders. 2. Sound alarms. 3. Apprehend unauthorized personnel. 4. Identify authorized personnel. Personnel control identification. 2 types of identification. 1. Personal recognition is the most effective. 2. Artificial identification, badges, passes, etc. System of employment of personnel control identification. 1. Pass system, a method used by security to screen visitors or person admitted into building premises. 2. Single pass or badge system, the least expensive and the least secure. 3. Group pass and badge system, one ID for one group. 4. Multiple pass system. Separate passes required for access to various areas in need, example color coding. 5. Spot magnetized identification passes. A code may be placed in the device and when passes through a machine, the code on the device is read. If it contains wrong code or no code at all, it will alarm. 6. Access list. It contains the names of authorized persons or personnel and is checked against identification cards such as driver's licenses, draft registration, etc. Visitor control. The measures used would depend on the sensibility of the installation but could include the following. 1. Escort. Expensive but most secure. 2. Time traveled: if there is a long delay or time lapse between the departure and arrival, the visitor may be required to show cause for the delay. 3. Visitors' logs should contain identifying data, reasons of visit, time in and hour, etc. 4. Visitors' entrances, separate access for visitors and separate for employees. Utility and maintenance personnel, escort system could be used. If these people visit the installations on a regular basis, some of the systems previously could be used. Package control. There should be provisions made to check packages being taken in and taken out. Photography. Extreme caution must be exercised in areas where classified information is displayed to preclude unauthorized taking of pictures of the installation. Vehicular control and identification. Most common identification is for registering at the headquarters or gates and putting of sticker on the windows of the vehicles. For visitors, the following systems are used. 1. Escort. 2. Driver pool, the most secure but the most expensive. In this system, car is driven by qualified driver employed by the installation from the entrance to its destination, and after the conclusion of the business of the visitor, car is driven back to the installation's entrance. 3. Time travel, used in less sensitive installations. 4. Grid system, a very complicated system. The installation is divided into grid-ad squares like a map. Each square is given a no or letter designation. The visitor is then given a map and shown the route to take to his destination and should not deviate from the prescribed route, otherwise he could be stopped and questioned by the guards. 5. Search of vehicles. Sign should be put at the entrance to the installation that any vehicle entering is subject to search anytime.